Welcome to May the Force Live Long and Podcast. I'm Dietrich Steigner.
Kate Page.
And each week we either watch an episode of Star Wars The Clone Wars, which I've never seen, or...
we watch Deep Space Nine, which I have never seen.
Yeah, and it is a Deep Space Nine week.
It is a Deep Space Nine week. It is.
We've been exchanging some text messages about this one. This is going to be one of the first ones, I think, that has some interesting areas for us to dig into. But before we get to that, before we get to a cold open, now we're kind of going back and forth a little bit before this episode. We do this because I think, I know speaking for myself, that we both, one, find these shows to be a tremendous escape, something that we can kind of spend a little bit of time in, disconnect from the rest of the world. But I think in another real way, one of the reasons both of us love these franchises is that these are franchises that in both cases have never been afraid to kind of address some of the uglier aspects of humanity, some of the uglier aspects of authoritarianism and cruelty, and the way lies can actually shape the way people look at the world. And the unfortunate reality is that we are currently experiencing a very, very horrifying example of that in the United States right now. Today is January 25th when we're recording this, and yesterday, or was it 2 days ago? It was
yesterday.
2 days ago.
It was yesterday. It was just yesterday.
Yesterday morning, Alex Preddy, an ICU nurse from the VA, was coming to the aid of a woman during a protest in Minneapolis, and 5 ICE agents wrestled to the ground, beat him mercilessly, and then shot him point blank range and murdered him. And look, here's the thing. If you are the type of person who is listening to this and has any qualms about what I just said, then this is probably never going to be the right podcast for you. I don't know. I've been struggling a lot with how much I want to say about this publicly, and I will be, you know what, I'm going to be honest about one of the cowardly aspects of why I've been hesitant to do that, which is I'm looking for a job right now, and I'm getting kind of desperate, and it's hard to find a job, and there's part of me that's very, very frightened that I'm going to post something online, and I'm going to get close to finding employment, and that's going to get in the way. But I don't know. I think at the end of the day, that is one of the many tools that are used to keep us quiet, to keep us from actually raising our voice. And whether we've got an audience of 15 people, an audience of 5,000 people, an audience of 5 million people, I think anytime you have someone who is willing to sit down and listen to what you have to say on just about any topic, you have to say something with something like that.
Yeah. Personally, I do take any platform that I have very seriously. With Renee Good, it hit me hard. She's a mother. And then with Alex Preddy, it hit me even harder because he is a nurse. I was a floor nurse for 13 wonderful years of my life. He did exactly what most of my fellow healthcare workers, I think, would have done in that moment, is that you go to aid someone. He went to defend a woman. He had a big heart, and he did what he thought was right. He did exactly what I probably would have done in that situation, which is scary. Again, as a mother, I think that's one of the reasons I sometimes stand on the line of, like, how much do I involve myself in protesting and saying things, because I have a family to think about and a daughter to come home to. So that's where I struggle with it. But I do take seriously that we do have people listening. You're out there listening. And if you are here listening, I'm assuming you are a fan of the source material that we discuss. And again, like Dietrich said, these are 2 shows and these are 2 franchises that speak on what is happening in the United States frequently. I often turn to Star Wars when I'm needing an escape, but sometimes when I turn to Star Wars, it's almost mirror image of what I'm facing in reality sometimes. And that breaks my heart. I want things to get better. I know that the only way they're going to get better is we continue to use our voices. So if you have means to find a way to speak up in any way that you can, whether it be by protesting, whether it be by calling your congressmen and women, your senators, involving yourself in your local politics. I believe wholeheartedly that everything starts with local politics. So involve yourself, get educated. Primaries are happening. We have a midterm election this year. That's any way you can get yourself involved if you want to feel like you're making a difference. That's the way. Taking away our voice is their number one goal.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So we wanted to talk about that before we got started, which, you know, it's not the most entertaining topic, but I think it's important. What do you say we go ahead and skip over the cold open for this one? And I've got an idea for the next episode, but I think that's good plot. Let's go. Why don't we spend a little bit of time about talking about a kind of goofy TV show for a bit? What do you say?
A goofy TV show, and then we can talk about some goofy Star Wars news at the end because
We
we had a big
can.
Star Wars week.
It has
We
been
had
a
a big
big Star Wars. Listen,
okay.
we're. It's also worth noting, by the way, before we really get into this, that as I said, this is January 25th. Kate and I are both right in the path of that massive storm that is rolling across the southeast right now. It is a sheet of ice outside my window right now, and
Yeah, we're
we were
both in
both
the
a little
South.
concerned. Yeah, we were a little
Yeah,
concerned that we wouldn't have power to do
yeah,
this. So
we're not in the we're in the South. So we're not in the fun part of the storm with like the snow. We're
yeah,
like ice, rain. Like at one
yeah.
point they're like it might also thunderstorm, and I'm like cool.
Yeah, Thunder Snow is always. I think my favorite little piece of trivia is a good friend of ours, Melody Stout, a brilliant author who lives up in Michigan, shared with us earlier this week that they were at risk of exploding trees. So listen,
Sometimes I feel like outside was a mistake.
yeah, listen. I mean, we gave it a shot. Kate,
Anyway,
would you like to talk about Captive Pursuits, episode 6 of the first season of Deep Space Nine?
yes. So we watched this week Captive Pursuit, season 1, episode 6. It originally aired January 30th, 1993. I want to tell you that I wrote what the fuck so many times while watching
Yeah.
this episode. Okay, I'm just gonna dive in.
Here's the thing. I will say before we get started, one of the things that will come up repeatedly, particularly I think more with Deep Space Nine than with the Clone Wars, but
Mhm.
Deep Space Nine is very much a product of the era that it was in. Sometimes that is a good thing. Sometimes that leans very heavily the other way. And the other side of this, and I think we'll talk about this more at the end, is I think all too often Star Trek is guilty of trying to find the center at the risk of putting itself in situations where the center isn't really defensible. And I think that we're going to get into that a little bit in this episode. But you know what's not you know what has no nuance to it is this cold open. Let's talk
This
about
cold
that.
this cold open is something. So there is a beautiful woman with Captain Sisko, and she's complaining about Quark basically sexually harassing her.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's pissed. She's a Dabo girl. So like she helps like with the game of Dabo. She's like a distraction. Like, like a hot girl at a card table. Like that's
Yeah.
her role.
Yeah. Yeah. She's a table girl.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
So she's complaining to Sisko that the Quark is basically making sexual advances at every turn, and she doesn't like it. And when she complained, Quark pulled out a contract apparently with some fine print.
Yeah.
He put it in the contract that he's allowed to sexually harass them. What the fuck?
So here's the other thing. I don't know what your impression of was, but it wasn't the first time I watched this episode. The second time was years after it came out. And I remember watching this episode and I'm like, oh my God, that's horrifying. Man, I cannot wait to see how they come back to that in this episode. And I'm excited to see Sisko land on Quark with both feet, establish that this is not okay. That's where this is going. This goes nowhere.
This is literally like a stinger. It's just like is it supposed to be like a funny joke? And like we'll revisit it when we get to the end of the episode because I wrote something down when I got to the end of my notes in
Yeah.
sheer horror of like that was never, because they're usually, so far they've done a good job of like when they do something in the cold open, even if it's not obviously important to the central plot, they circle back around to it.
They do.
They didn't do that here, friends. Just spoilers. They don't do that here.
And as you said, we'll talk more about that at the end. One of the consistent areas that Star Trek has struggled with is the portrayal of the Ferengi as a culture, because they have wanted. Star Trek is not great at cultural portrayals, especially at the beginning. One thing that I'll bring up, a little bit of lore, the first introduction of the Ferengi was in Star Trek The Next Generation, and it is a horrifying portrayal. It is hard for me to describe what it looks like without getting into some fairly unpleasant racial descriptions.
Yeah.
And one of the goals for Deep Space Nine was to take a race that had very much been a caricature and create a sense of depth behind them. And I feel like in some areas so far, they've already managed to do that a bit. But I think that occasionally in that effort, they steer way too hard in another direction. And I think this is an example of something that is aged like milk left on a counter in a hot room. Like, it is horrible.
Definitely, like, I could think of, like, again, like, it's nothing we could ever say in the year 2026. I think I know what cultures they were trying to like, do a character of, and it's not okay. Like, it's like you said, it aged horribly.
It did.
Sisko says he's gonna do something about it. FYI, he never does. But there's no time to worry about that now, that poor girl. Because Kira says something's coming through the wormhole. And
Yes.
it's a ship with a single life form on board. And they patch a call into him. He is clearly in distress. He clearly is upset, and they're gonna beam him aboard. He freaks out about that, and so what they do is they end up actually. O'Brien talks him down a little bit and says, "Hey, I'm just gonna pull your whole ship in with a tractor beam."
He's also confused. One of the things you figure out very
Yeah,
quickly is he didn't know the wormhole was there.
yeah,
And so he's kind of freaking out as to, which makes sense. You get popped across the galaxy with no expectation.
yeah.
And yeah.
He's very confused about the wormhole. He's like, "How did I get so far away from home?" I forgot to mention this. He's a green lizard man. I
Have
feel like I
you
should
ever
have led with that.
Yeah. Have you ever seen there's a film back in the 1990s, I think, called Enemy Mine. Have you ever seen this movie?
No.
It's a great if I recall. I mean, it's been a while, so I always hesitate to say it's a great film because I might go back and like part way through it to be like, and another thing about the Dutch, okay, so um but it's this very on the nose adaptation of a sci-fi story about humans are at war with another culture, and a human crashes on a planet with a member of that other culture, and they have to learn to work together. The makeup looks so much like the makeup from that movie that I really am curious if that was some inspiration drawn. I will say the
Maybe.
makeup is great. Yeah.
The makeup is great. I also want to say I did clock right away. His clothes look like camouflage, which already kind of like
Hmm.
I think kind of tips us off to what's going to happen with this episode. But like I was like, is he wearing like he looks like he's wearing camo, like he's about to go
Yeah.
like up into like the forests in Virginia and hunt some deer. So like that's what he looks
Yeah.
like. Okay. So O'Brien pulls him in. Props to O'Brien because he like talks him through the tractor beam pull, which I kind of like. One, it was a little cheesy, but I kind of liked it. I was like, you know what? If you've never been hooked into by like a tractor beam, that could be alarming.
Wait,
So that was nice of O'Brien.
I think we're both gonna have some pretty strong notes about this episode. I will say one thing: it's a great O'Brien episode.
Yeah. Uh,
For his character, it's really good.
I will say it's almost like though, like the minute he started doing that, it was like Lizard Man was trauma bonding with
Yeah,
O'Brien. Like
a
it
little
was
bit.
like it was like he was a duckling who had hatched from an egg and mom is gone and he saw O'Brien and he's like, "You're my person now."
Yep.
So Sisko sends O'Brien to meet the alien by himself, just again not to freak him out because like everyone's like, "Guys on high alert. O'Brien, go like meet our new friend."
What do you think about this decision by Cisco? It's
Thought it was strange.
like I understand. Okay, we don't want to talk through it, but they even bring up like there's a first contact protocol. Like there is,
Yeah,
which would make sense. An organization like Starfleet, who does this a lot, would have like a textbook of how you do this. Cisco throws that out so fast.
so fast, and like I was alarmed because like if I were to pick someone, I would have said either Cisco would have just gone like as captain, or perhaps because it's a Bajoran space station, he would have sent Kira. The choice of O'Brien, and not a nothing against O'Brien, but like the guy who fixes stuff.
Yeah. An enlisted man. Yeah, it was an odd choice, and I get the reason that they bring up, which is this guy is clearly agitated. Already O'Brien has developed a little bit of a rapport with him.
Yeah,
And so I understood that, but it was an odd choice for me.
I was just like, Amelia was just kind of like, okay, I feel like there's probably rule books about this, but sure, okay. So O'Brien gets on the ship. He says it's empty, but psych, Lizard Man can go invisible. Another clue with the camouflage clothing.
I really loved we've talked a bit in one of the other episodes in A Man Alone. We talked a bit about some of the camera work that almost seemed to have like a horror angle to it. And
Mm-hmm.
O'Brien like crawling into this ship, crawling into the guts of the ship, and that low camera angle that was pointed up had this very, very, which I think worked really well when Tosk, yeah, we figured out this is the dude's name,
The
Tosk.
name's Tosk. Tosk, he talks
Yeah.
between he talks like a mix between Chat GPT and Groot, just
Yeah.
for the record.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah, I had a Groot comment written down as
yeah,
well.
no.
But he just
Good
kind
for
of appears
us.
out of nowhere. He's got like
Yeah.
cloaking technology or something.
Yeah, yeah. So while O'Brien's there, he's like, "Hey, friend, we need to fix your ship. I can help with that. I just got to figure out how your ship works." And Tosk like insults O'Brien in this moment because he's like, "Man, if I could just get the materials, I could fix it myself, lickety split." And O'Brien's like, "Hey, fix it.
I can
Calm
figure it
down.
out.
I'll figure it out." He's insulted. So like, I don't blame O'Brien after the episode he had last week with fixing stuff. The
Although
poor guy.
Here's my question. Do we think O'Brien got some help between the last episode and this one? Because the fact that he was able to jump right onto this job seems to me to indicate that maybe he got a little bit of help and maybe he's gotten to catch up with some of his work.
That or he's been working overtime and the man hasn't slept in what could amount to weeks because he's just running from floor to floor to fix things.
Just cut to the background of half the scenes and there's Keiko just glaring daggers at him.
Yeah. So they continue to banter back and forth. He keeps saying, "I am Tosk" over and over. Sure. And so O'Brien takes Tosk up to the promenade because where else do you take an anxious alien that can turn invisible but to a promenade full of people?
The
No notes.
choices made, like outside
No
Quark's,
notes.
where Quark is, I think Quark's kicking someone out for cheating. Like,
He's literally kicking a woman out for cheating at Dabo.
yeah, which I mean is fine, but it's got to be I don't know. If I am in this position, like this guy is clearly overwhelmed just by the realization there's a wormhole. He doesn't know these people are around him. I don't know that taking him next to the casino on the station is the best bet.
It was such a choice. In the meantime, O'Brien is like word vomiting all over him. Like he cannot stop talking. Tosk refuses to laugh at his jokes, and O'Brien just jokes harder.
I think he refers to him at one point as the most natural straight man he's ever seen.
He calls him the best straight man he's ever had. And I'm just like, okay. And then at one point, also, O'Brien refers to DS9 as a flea market. And I'm like, yeah.
It actually tracks.
That tracks.
We also get a population for the first time of the station. We get about 300 people on the station, which, okay, that tracks. Yeah.
It tracks. We also get a Bashir sighting and where Tosk, tests the boundaries of personal space.
He does. Also, like, was that just so they could go ahead and log that Sitting Al Fadil was there for this episode? Because I think that's literally all he does for the entire episode.
That's it. This is all. He doesn't have any other lines. He literally just stands there and have an alien get very, very close to his face. That's about it.
Which, that also brings me to a question. I don't think Dax appears in this episode once.
No, she does.
She does? Okay.
She does. She towards the end, when they're discussing, we'll get to it, but Dax is there. She has a couple. She has lines. She at least has a couple lines, but she didn't get any lines.
Sure gets no lines. He was too creepy in the last episode. We're like, you know what? You need to sit down for a bit.
That's a lie. We'll get to Bashir. He does get some lines, actually. That's a lie. He does get some lines. I remember it's coming back to me. Sorry. Okay. So after they go past Quark's, they get to some accommodations. O'Brien's taking Tosk to a room. Tosk kind of looks around, and O'Brien just again cracking jokes. He's like, "I wasn't the decorator. Like, I know it's ugly as hell in here, friend." And then he's like, "You can sleep here." And Tosk is like, "I only need 17 minutes." And I'm like, "Wow, okay." I mean, I also only need 17 minutes, but that's not by choice. It's just what my body lets me have.
He also says he doesn't eat, I think.
He doesn't eat. He just stores nutrients in his body.
Yeah, which I will say we're getting a lot of weird clues about, like, he's more and more starting to figure out he's a designed creature.
Yes.
More than anything else.
Yes, exactly. And so then O'Brien leaves him alone. And this is the part, again, where I'm just like, the ship just does this. The station just does this. He asks the computer in his room, "Hey, where do you guys store the weapons?" And the computer just tells him. Like, and yeah, the computer's also like, "This is restricted. You can't go here." But the computer just tells him, "This is where the weapons are." What?
So I also want to call out, Quark tries to find out where replicators are, and the computer's like, absolutely not. No way. Absolutely banned. This is unacceptable. Whole 9 yards. Toss is like, "Hey, where's the arms locker?" And the computer's like, "All right, buddy, here's what you want to do. You got to take a left at Main Street. You're going to walk 200 paces. The only thing I can come to a conclusion on that is that Quark's computer, Odo has locked it down for pretty much any... Odo put Net Nanny on Quark's computer. It is like, it doesn't matter what he searches for. He's like, "Hey, what's 2 + 4? Command authorization required. We don't know what you're going to do with that answer."
There's parental locks all over Quark's computer because the guest accommodation computer is just like, here's where you can get some stuff to hurt people. Here's the weapons. Like, what? I was just sitting like, the fuck? Okay, so O'Brien goes to meet with on the bridge, and he's pretty sure that Tosk is on the run from something.
Yeah. Tosk lied to him about how the damage to his ship happened.
Yeah.
He said it was the wormhole, and O'Brien's like, no, he got lit up.
Yeah, he got
Yeah.
his ship has taken damage by, like, actual, like, weapons, so after making a plan to fix the ship, Tusk and O'Brien go back to Quark's, again, exactly where you wanna take an alien who's a little skittish.
Yep. Yep.
And then they kinda sit and they have a drink, and they kinda just basically, I guess, like, trade philosophies, but, like, O'Brien's like, "This is where you come and you relax and you have some downtime." And Tusk's like, "Okay, so you sleep 8 hours." And he's, like, so judgy. He's so judgy. He's like, "You sleep 8 hours." It's like, "You only work 8 hours, and then you just have some your sleep is downtime." Like, "Okay." Like,
I also did love O'Brien makes a comment like how he hasn't seen his wife in days. Dude, maybe don't go to the bar.
go
Maybe
to the
go
maybe
home
don't go
and
see your
yeah,
wife, hug your kid, because, like,
yeah,
again, that leads to me to think that maybe he's been working overtime, but, like, if you've been working overtime, go home and see your wife.
yeah,
She might
get some
miss you.
sleep. Yeah.
I'm just saying,
But
like, it
no,
would be
on this station of 300 people, O'Brien's necessary for first contact for this alien they haven't met. Very, very super
this
important.
it's super, super important, and then he calls Quark Barkeep, which really pissed him off.
Yeah, Quark doesn't like that.
Did not like that. So, you can tell, like, you could tell instantly in this, just in these moments, that O'Brien's, like, getting attached. He's like, "A
Yeah.
new friend. Yay." Like, he's
He
very,
likes
very
the guy,
attached to
yeah.
him. Yeah, he likes him. Yeah, he likes him, and so he goes to the bridge to defend him.
What I will say is we're talking a lot about Tosk, kind of talking smack about everybody on there. Tosk is not like does not seem cruel or hostile
No,
or mean in any way. He very much just seems like he doesn't get any of this.
he
Like
doesn't get
none
it.
of
He
this
doesn't understand
tracks.
it.
But he likes O'Brien. You can also tell that. Like he is very much he's fixed to O'Brien in a very real
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
And O'Brien likes him. Like they're
yeah.
cool.
Like,
They're
they're
buddies.
they are officially friends, which I think is that's adorable. It's great. I still think
Yes.
that O'Brien should maybe go home and see his wife, but,
Yes.
so
How great a moment would it have been too if Tosk had gotten to meet Keiko and gotten to
oh my
meet
god.
Molly? And we'll talk a little bit more about this at
Molly,
the
my
end. I think
queen.
there's so many missed opportunities for because I feel like a big part of this episode that they didn't steer enough into is it is not just the crew learning about Tosk, it's also Tosk learning about the crew, learning about all these different things. And some of the
Yeah.
choices that are made later on might have reflected better if we'd gotten more time with that.
Yeah. I really think, and this is one of the notes I made for the end, but I'll say it here, and this is, one of I think would have been more interesting is if instead of taking Tusk to Quark's twice, because we'd go there twice, I think he should have taken him home with him to see him with his family in that moment. Tusk is trying to break into this armory that, again,
Yep.
the computer just told him the location of, so he's trying to break in, and Odo catches him, because Odo was the painting.
Okay, Odo's the painting. Odo's really good at stretching his shape shifting scope, which I loved that he was the painting. Oh,
I
that's
loved
so
he was the
good.
painting.
Yeah.
I mean, I clocked it immediately because I was like, "Why is there a painting there?"
The other thing I want to bring up, I really like this scene because we have given Odo grief for apparently not really believing in civil rights pretty much at all. But
Mhm.
can we talk about what a great job Odo does in the scene as a cop? Like as a
Yeah.
like he's never hostile. He keeps
Mm.
Toss from escaping, but everything he says and does is designed to calm the situation down. I love the way he talks where he's like, okay, I'm going to lower the force field now. I don't want to fight.
Mhm.
Just going to go back to my office and have a conversation. Honestly, it kind of clashed against some of the stuff we'd seen earlier with Odo. But in that moment, I was like, okay, this is exactly who you want in charge of security for your station. Somebody who's
Right.
just going to be like, we're going to deal with this, but we're not going to let this escalate in any way.
Yeah. He did a great job, and it is interesting because, like, up until this point, he's really been, like, shoot first, ask questions later kinda guy, so I was really proud of Odo in this moment, because he's like, "I'm just gonna," he, like, at one point, he says, like, if you're done, like, going," he was, like, ping-ponging between the force fields. He's like, "If
Yeah.
you're done," like,
Yep.
he was like, "I'm happy to just stand here and let you do this, but, like, we can
Yeah.
stop now." Um, so after that, Sisko, O'Brien, and Odo are interrogating Tosk, and really the only explanation they get is "I am Tosk," which
Yeah. He
not
Groots
the
out the
most helpful.
interrogation.
Like, "I am Tosk" over and over, and, like, again, sure. So then Tosk asks to be released so he can die with honor.
Which that should set off all the alarm bells.
All the alarms, and at this point I wrote down, is this a it's a very popular book. Is this the most dangerous game? I was like, are we playing the most dangerous game? Is that what's happening here? Like, that's what I wrote it down. That's I was like, are we playing the most dangerous game? We get more clues later, but I
Spoiler,
was like, spoilers, we're playing the most dangerous game. Does every
correct.
sci-fi show have to do this? Like a
It's
riff on the most dangerous?
I was thinking a little bit about that. It's not just sci-fi shows. I've seen fantasy series that have touched on this. I think it's such a compelling plot structure.
Yeah.
It allows you to kind of delve into class differences. It allows you to delve into the way we treat people, and it's always going to give you plenty of room for an exciting like action sequences and stuff. But yeah, it does tend to be a little bit like, okay, well, we've seen this
Okay.
before, and yeah,
We've done this one has an interesting twist, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But that was my first inkling that we were playing the most dangerous game when he said, "I want to die with honor." So O'Brien at this point is feeling some guilt. He's feeling extremely guilty because he really likes Tosk, and he's in jail, and he still doesn't think Tosk is a threat. Like he says that he's like, "I don't think he's a threat. Don't know what's going on, but I don't think he's here to hurt anyone here." And as they're having this conversation, and I think that's Dax is there for that.
I
I
think
think
you're
Dax
right.
is there. Like I think Dax is there. And I also think Bashir was there earlier when he was talking to the ship about um Tosk, and I think Bashir like recommended like bring him in for a medical appointment. People tell doctors everything, which
That's
again
right.
he made it weird.
You have to.
Bashir
Yeah, got it.
he made it weird. I'm sorry, I'm doing this all out of order today.
No, it's great. No, yeah, I do remember. Yeah, Bashir made it weird. What if I give him a physical?
Doctors, people tell doctors everything.
Once
Yeah,
I
but
get his pants off and he's in that paper gown, he's going to be a lot more open with me.
Bashir's forgetting the part where you're not supposed to tell anybody what your patients tell you. It's called HIPAA. It's kind of important. Do they not have HIPAA in Star
No,
Trek?
I think the funny part is I really get this idea that they did, and even if they tried this plan and it worked, Bashir would have gotten all this information and then he'd be like, "Oh crap, I can't tell you guys anything."
Doctor patient confidentiality is a thing.
Yeah,
Anyway, yeah. Sorry, I'm sorry. I forgot about that. I had to say it. So as we're having this conversation, another ship is now coming through the wormhole. And this ship is on the offensive. And it's like
yeah.
scanning the DS9. Like full on scanning. And everyone's like, I'm like, are they allowed to do
Well, I really love this whole sequence, how fast it all happens
it
because
happens really
they
fast.
they scan, and for a moment, Sisko's like, okay, yeah, let him take a look. And then they start screwing with their shields, and things go downhill very, very quickly.
Very quickly. But then they also like after that they beam themselves onto the promenade.
Yeah. They actually
Like
begin
it's
assaulting the station.
Yeah, like they don't even like dock and ask. They just like, no, we're coming aboard, and they show up like in again the heavily crowded promenade,
Yep.
and three guys show up, and I just I like a lot of this costume and makeup choices in Star Trek. I'm a big fan, but these guys in these three red spacesuits is the most Twilight Zone. It's like they went to the set of the Twilight Zone and said, "Hey, you got any spacesuits hanging around?" And they
They're like,
just grabbed those. They're like, "This'll do," because these spacesuits they're so of like the only comparison I have is Twilight Zone. Like they are so
yeah.
of like that 1940s 50s era of
I was thinking,
spacesuits.
like Flash Gordon.
Yes, that's another good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, that the note I have written down is stupid, stupid fucking helmets. Like
They
the
look
helmets
so
are all way
dumb.
too big for their head, which is really unfortunate because it takes away from what's otherwise a kind of terrifying scene. Like the the security officers are
Yeah.
firing at them and they are blocking them with their arms. It's
Yeah.
almost like this is a weird comparison, but it's almost like seeing them try to fight Jedi, where you're shooting at them and it's just not breaking through.
It's not breaking through. Yeah, it could have been really scary, but honestly, the second I saw them, I started laughing because they looked
It was
so
so
ridiculous.
dumb.
They looked so dumb. The big dumb helmets, they made me think of you remember Jake Gyllenhaal in Spider-Man?
Yes.
Did you see that one with the Mysterio and his big dumb fishbowl helmet?
Yeah. Yeah.
So stupid. I'm sorry.
It's
I'm sorry to anyone who likes that movie. So dumb.
thing. I think it's such a great example of when you want to put together a sequence like this, when you're trying to go for tension, all the pieces have to work together. Like, you can have the right music, you can have the right pacing, and I think every other piece worked well, but because their outfits were so ludicrous, like, it never felt all that tense, even when one of them one of them reveals, "You guys are packing phasers, cute. I apparently have the space equivalent of an RPG or something."
Right.
Like, they
Like,
blow the hell out of Odo's office.
they're very aggressive, but I, like, can't be scared of them because they're so stupid
Yeah.
looking.
Another good Odo moment, can we talk about really quick, which is,
Yeah.
it says, "I think they're after Tosk," and Odo says, "I don't give a crap. I'm not letting him take a prisoner out of my cell." Like,
Yeah.
Odo's ready to protect Tosk, which is
Yeah, I
a good
really
moment.
like that. It was a great Odo moment, but unfortunately, the shot before that of Odo was him literally hiding behind Sisko and, like, peeking around. He was, like, peeking around Sisko's shoulder, and I was like, "You're the sheriff.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?" But then he,
He
like,
also
came guns blazing. He was like, "No one's taking anybody out of my cell," and I was like, "Okay, that's the Odo I know."
Yeah.
But, like, he was, like, hiding behind Sisko in a moment.
I think it's disappointing because I think in a better version of this scene is like the one of the could be the highlight of this episode. Like, if you do this scene correctly, it could be tense, it could be exciting, but the choices and the costuming and a couple of other, like, they punch Odo in the face and Odo just goes down, which is a weird
Yeah, like,
thing.
that really, like, that was before he was hiding behind Sisko. That threw me, and I'm like, "Wow, they just, like, decked him, and he went down
Yeah.
like a stack of cards."
Yeah. So,
So, they eventually the one red spacesuit guy does get into the holding unit. They find Tosk in his cell, and they basically he takes off his helmet, does not help with with how stupid he looks, I'm sorry, it doesn't
no.
make it better, makes it
Nope.
worse, and he's really mean to poor Tosk. He calls him a disappointment, and I'm like, and at this point, I'm like, "Okay," and I'm still at this point, I'm still like, "Okay, we're doing the most dangerous game, but, like, okay, like, this is."
I did write my comment here is he's not mad, he's disappointed.
He's disappointed. So but this is where it kinda comes through that this is a hunt. They are hunters,
Yeah.
and Tosk is the prey. And I'm not gonna like I was like, "Okay, so it is the most dangerous game," and then I also wrote, "I think I've seen Dead Dove fanfic about this too."
I don't know what
And if
dead
you
dove
don't
means.
so Dead Dove is there used to be this show called Arrested Development.
Yeah.
And there is a scene where Michael opens his fridge, and in the fridge there is a bag that's labeled "dead dove inside. Do not eat." And then he opens the bag, and there's a dead dove, and Michael's like, "I don't know what I was expecting." Because the bag said "dead dove inside, don't do not eat." So that's a common like marker on fanfic that is super dark.
Yeah.
Where will literally people will mark it on AO3 of "dead dove, do not eat," because, like, it's literally, like, it's so dark and we're telling you it's dark, so, like, if you have a problem with that, don't read it, like, so that's what dead dove means when you see something marked dead dove. There's a dead dove in your fridge, don't eat it.
Don't eat it.
Don't sorry, it's one of my favorite Arrested Development moments. Jason Bateman does it so good, he's just like, "I don't know what I was expecting." Anyway, that was a deep cut, deep niche cut for my
That was
fanfic friends out there. Anyway, so they're apparently going to these red spacesuit guys are gonna take Tosk home alive, which apparently is like the biggest like dishonor.
yeah.
And
For
children are gonna mock him. People are gonna throw food at him.
yeah. I don't know.
Like, this is so fucked up. And the hunter is explaining this to Sisko that they basically created Tosk to hunt. Like his whole purpose was they created him to hunt him from sport, and so that's why like he can go invisible and he only needs to sleep 17 minutes and he doesn't need food. Like this is what he was genetically designed to do is to be hunted. And Sisko is pissed.
Can we talk about how great angry Sisko is? I love
Love
angry
angry
Sisko.
sister. And so this is the thing. He's like, you hunt a sentient being for sport, and like they make a comparison of like hunting animals, and Cisco's like, yeah, but not like humans, not sentient people. And again, like this episode was like it could have been so good because in a different universe where Cisco was the one I feel like to make first contact with Tosk, and as an African American,
Yeah.
the comparison of like what it means to like be hunted for sport
To be
and
exploited for
it's
your
to be
you
like,
are.
yeah, to
Yeah.
be exploited for who you are, right? To be exploited for who you are, exactly. Means so much more in this moment. And again, like Cisco's fury, like in that moment, he was so angry. I was like, I felt it, and I was like, man, what this episode really could have been to have that kind of commentary, I think could have been just just really something special and something that, like, really had something to say. It wasn't that, but in this moment, I saw, like, a glimpse of it because, like, that's what that is to be exploited for, like, these attributes of, like, what you are and who you are, and, like, we're gonna use that for our own amusement.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the other issue I have with that is that I I understand the Prime Directive, which is gonna be a thing that pops up fairly frequently in every Star Trek series. Like, it is this core principle that becomes a driving force of a lot of episodes. That being said, yeah, I struggle to believe that because it's not just that these individuals showed up and are hunting this guy for sport. They also attacked the station, opened fire on Sisko's people, blew up the security office. Like, at a certain point, I don't think you get to just say, well, it's their way and let them go.
Yeah.
And one other element, and we'll talk about this at the end. I really do want to keep us from judging an episode for what it could have been rather than what it is.
Right. Yeah,
Because,
that's fair, that's fair.
yeah. But at the same time, we have seen, like, there is a clear division between Federation and Bajoran stuff. Where is Kira in all this? They boarded a Bajoran station. They fired on Bajoran security officers. They blew up a Bajoran holding cell.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like we are missing a sequence where Kira is screaming bloody murder. Like, I don't care about your Prime Directive. We're not part of the Federation. They assaulted a Bajoran station.
Well, like, and this is my thing because, like, Sisko's always in the past few episodes, he's made comments like, "Well, this person's done nothing wrong. I have no reason to hold them. They've broken no laws. I cannot hold them." Well, now in this moment, I feel like they've broken some laws. Again, I was like, when they've just beamed themselves onto the station and didn't dock, didn't ask for clearance, they're just like, "Bam, we're here now." Like, again, like, with the Federation has rules against that. Like, you can't just, like, hop on and be like, "Hello, here we are." Like, that's just not allowed. And so in this moment, you have some very clear reasons to hold these people. They have broken the law. I don't care if they're playing a game that's important to their culture. They've broken your culture's laws, and that doesn't give you a free pass. But, like, instead, it's just goes like, "I'm just gonna let them take toss because, like, this
Yeah.
is their way." I'm like, "What?" It
And I think this is less about judging for what it could have been and more about a clear gap in what this episode is the story that it's
Yeah.
trying to tell.
Yeah. So Sisko says he's gonna release Tosk. Kira does make the suggestion. Again, it felt strange coming from Kira. Tosk could ask for asylum. Maybe it doesn't feel strange coming from Kira, but she says that Tosk could ask for asylum. So O'Brien's on it. He's like, so he goes to Tosk and he's like, "Hey, ask for asylum." And Tosk's like, "No, no, I want to be hunted, and I was bad at that. So now I'm gonna go back home and be publicly shamed, and that would be better than, like, seeking asylum and living here with my shame alone." So O'Brien, like, all hope is lost. He goes to Quark's and he's sitting at the bar kind of like sulking, and Quark, to his credit, tries to be the barkeep. He's like, I'm gonna be the ear. I'm gonna lend my ear. This is what a barkeep does.
He's super into the idea too.
He's nailing it, by the way. He is so enthusiastic about it. He was like, um and I would say that they have a conversation about rules, but it's really not because, like, poor Quark gets, like, a couple of words out about how, like, the Fernegy look at
Nailed
words.
it. Crushed it.
Nailed, crushed it. He talks about rules, and I forget he was on the cusp of saying, like, "Well, rules can look different from a certain point of view." Like, and you can kind of, like, take rules and kind of bend them and change them to work for you. He never really gets to get that full thought out because O'Brien interrupts him, like, mid-sentence. He's like, "That's it!"
Brian comes to the epiphany all on his own. Like, he actually
He
didn't
does
really
not.
need Quark.
He really did not need Quark's help. I felt bad for Quark, but Quark takes it in stride. Takes it in good faith because he, like, moves right on. He moves on to somebody else. He's like, "Hey,
What's going on?
you wanna
I'm
talk
super
to your
good
local
at this,
barkeep?"
clearly. Yeah.
I was made to do this, which I really like. I like that side of Quark. I was like,
Yeah.
"This is great. Do more of this and less sexually harassing women, please." So O'Brien goes and offers to escort the hunters off DS9. I think like, he while he's doing this, he takes off his communicator badge,
His comm badge. Yeah.
his comm badge, drops it on the ground. He's like, "This is just the way we do in the Federation. We're just gonna escort you. I'm gonna escort you back to your ship. It's gonna be great." And then he doesn't get far before Sisko, of course, tattletales on, or no, Odo tattletales on him
Yeah.
to
Because Odo's
Sisko.
pissed because he
Odo's
said,
pissed.
yeah, he lied and said Sisko told him that he
He
was
could do
taking over
this.
from Odo. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Odo's like, "Why would you let him do this? This is my job." And Sisko's like, "Bro, I didn't." So Sisko, of course, tries to get in touch with O'Brien, but he's not wearing his comm badge, so he cannot. Um, and then basically a chase ensues. It was great.
One of my favorite moments of the episode, though, which is Odo's like, "I'm
Thought
on
it
it,"
was
and he starts
fun.
going, yeah, and Cisco's like, "Go ahead."
Take your time.
Yeah, and
Take your
I
time.
love Renee
Literally, that's
Auberjonois'
basically
performance there.
he like slow walks.
Yeah, he's like slow rolls his way. He just hangs out on the turbo lift for a
And
moment.
then
It's a
just
great performance.
turns around and just looks at Sisko, and I was like, "This is fantastic. This is physical
Yeah,
comedy at peak."
yeah.
So the hunters of course are trying to stop O'Brien and Tosk, and then Tosk does something I wasn't expecting. He murders one of the red spacesuit guys.
Straight, like,
Like hunter be
yeah.
hunted. Whoa, does a murder.
Which, you know what? Not mad about. Screw those guys and
I
their
was
stupid
not
outfits.
I was not mad about it. I was like, "Damn, okay." And so basically, like, it's honestly, it was really fun. It was like it had like I still can't take Red Spacesuit guys seriously, but it was actually a really fun sequence of them trying
Yeah.
of O'Brien getting Tusk back to his ship, um, and O'Brien basically explaining like, "Heck, like I've gotten you out. Keep the game going. Like this is it. This is your chance. Just go and keep being hunted." And Tusk, of course, my favorite part, invites O'Brien to go with him. It's like, "Hey,
You know what?
you want to be a Tusk too?"
It all tracks. O'Brien's his buddy. Tosk thinks that he's got the coolest gig in the world, so of course,
Yeah,
let's invite him
of
along.
course, of
I do like
course.
O'Brien's response is like, "Don't think my wife would be cool with that."
I mean, I feel like no offense to O'Brien, I feel like he would really slow Tusk down, like what with his
Yeah,
need to sleep 8 hours a night and his need for food.
yeah,
I don't think they'd get very far.
yeah.
Not any kind of like insult to O'Brien, but I feel like he would really slow Tusk down. It's like, Tusk, buddy, if you plan on escaping with your life, you're better off without him. So they say goodbye in what is probably the best way ever. Instead of goodbye, they say die with honor. So
I'm gonna
then they
start
just
saying that's what I'm gonna start saying to my daughter when she leaves for work each morning.
die
Hey,
with
die
honor.
with honor.
That's an interesting way to say goodbye to a brand new friend.
Right.
And then after that, O'Brien he gets a shakedown from Sisko. He gets a talking to, and
Yep.
Sisko's pissed about the paperwork. Dang it! I think that's my favorite part. Sisko's mad. He's like, "You know how much paperwork I'm gonna have to fill out now?"
Yeah. Also, again, Cisco's very good at these moments of, I need to light you up for this. Like, you
Yeah,
screwed up. You know you screwed up.
yeah. I
At the
have to
same
yell at you.
time, like, I'm glad you did what you did, but I can't
Yeah.
say that out loud.
No,
Like,
no.
this is my job. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
I
and
really like
O'Brien
to see.
clocks it. Because
Yeah.
O'Brien clocks it. He's like, "I figured once you realized I'd taken my comm badge off, you guys would have been on me. Like, we wouldn't have gotten very far." Like, he's like, "I assumed you would have stopped us." And Sisko just does that smile that he
Yep.
does.
That must have missed it.
My bad. Everyone makes mistakes. So
So
that's the end. But I did have one more note. Is that Dabo girl okay? We
so
never get
Kate,
back. Like, I was still up until the end of this episode. I was like, that Dabo girl's coming back into this some way, somehow. Like when they're at Quark's bar and O'Brien's like drowning his sorrows in alcohol. I'm like, we're gonna have that girl's gonna be part of this scene, right? Am I
can
no?
we
Oh
just get a deleted scene where the red suit guy, Cisco, O'Brien, and Tosk are all together, and somebody brings up what Quark did, and all of them are like, "Oh man, that's messed up." And the red suit guy's like, "We hunt people for sport, but that's just wrong. What is wrong with you?" Yeah. So Kate, I have a
yeah,
question for you.
yeah.
Did you like this episode?
No, no, I did not. I did not. It had moments. It had some moments.
Yes.
Listen, it killed the scene completely. It took all the tension out of the scene. I like the dumb red spacesuits because I think they're so stupid looking that they're
Yeah.
funny, and I like to laugh because I'm a simple person with simple joys. But I did not like this episode.
I think there are certain choices made in this
Yeah.
episode that kind of, like, at its core, I think that you've got actually a pretty solid story here.
Yeah.
Don't I don't hate O'Brien being that central character because he has that kind of chummy, like, he's the
Yeah.
blue collar guy. And
Yeah.
there is definitely a story there. But first, I think whatever you're rating this episode, I think it gains 2 points if you just delete that opening scene. Like, first
Just it
off,
If that hadn't been there, I think I would have liked it more because I was always waiting again, because the last 5 episodes have done such a great job of always making sure that every scene, even if it was, like, not super important to the plot, like, eventually, like, we circled back around to it.
Yeah.
And that never happened here, and it really kind of, like, it was always at the back of my head, like, "What's going on with that girl?" And it never happened, and I think it took away from me being fully in it. Uh, it was like, listen, I it's a very compelling story. I like that O'Brien was a central character. I agree. He's that very chummy. He's like the most like I feel like he's very extroverted and that like he's the person who makes friends with like the Uber driver. Like he's that
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
So like it makes sense. I like that it was again, this is another episode where it really separates itself from the next generation and that it was not like there's not a clear cut good guy, bad guy. Like there's a very like it's a very gray story morally. So again, it was really making sure that the viewers knew that Deep Space Nine is different from the next generation. I like that about it. That was, I think, one of the more compelling. This is the first time I Googled stuff about the episode because I was so like, I didn't enjoy it so much that I was like, I need to know more about this. A lot of people who worked on the show that said this is their favorite episode.
It has a bit of a following, and I think the following comes from, here's the thing, I think there are going to be episodes that people like that you and I bounce off of that we don't really understand why people like. I think I understand why people like this episode. I think the
Yeah.
chemistry between O'Brien and Tosk is so
Great.
good throughout
So
it.
good.
I think you
Yeah.
have a couple moments. Quark at the bar. Again, if you drop that first scene, this is a terrific Quark episode.
Yes. I really like I said, him playing like at first being mad that O'Brien called him Barkeep and then embracing
Yeah.
the stereotypical nature of a barkeep. I loved that journey. It was such a small little journey for Quark, but I really liked that for Quark. I was like, you know what? Like he is a good listener and he does give maybe not like always the most ethical advice, but he does good give advice. So
He
like
does
I
get, he
like
get
that.
that. Yeah. There are a lot of little elements to it, and I think if you zero in just on those, then it's fine. But I think there are just some big question marks, some big gaps in the episode that don't click, and especially coming on the tail end of 3 episodes in a row that we felt were very, very
Very
strong.
yeah, very strong episodes, and, like, all of a sudden it hit one that I was like, "Oh, wow, I did not enjoy this." That, like yeah, I found it again, it threw me, like, again, that opening scene, I think if it wasn't there, it would have helped me not be thinking about it because I was thinking about it the whole episode, like, I was
Yeah.
just waiting for it to come around, and it never did, so I think that yeah.
All right. So, Kate, which DS9 or which Clone Wars character would you like to have brought into this episode?
Time was weak.
Yeah.
I had a really hard time, like, part of me wants to do the easy thing where, like, bring in R2.
That's always going to be the easy answer.
It's the
I have a,
easiest answer is to let R2 show up. Part of me also like, no, like I had a hard time with this one. I think I
I
really
have
had a
an
hard time with
answer.
this episode. Okay, tell me who.
I don't know his name. It's opening Admiral Newsreel.
The
And
Admiral, yeah.
Here's the reason. Because I want Newsreel to drag Quark out and charge him with sexual harassment. I feel like Admiral Newsreel wouldn't tolerate that kind of thing. I don't know
You know,
why,
like
but
you know what? He wouldn't. I honestly like. I don't think Anakin would tolerate that. Like, I feel
yeah,
like Anakin would have a really hard time like hearing that like women were being sexually harassed. Like, I feel like he would have
right?
like he would
Plo
have
Koon is
taken
not going to Plo Koon's not going to let that slide.
yeah yeah.
So I
They would
think
have looked
any
out for
of
that
the
girl.
authority figures, but I'm going to go with Admiral Newsreel.
I like it. I like it. Yeah.
yeah.
Also, any reason to have Admiral News
This is his name now, by the way. That
that's his
is
name now?
officially his. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Alright.
all right.
Alright.
You know,
Okay.
like I think the thing we're going to run into quite a bit. Episodes like this may not be the best episodes. I think they're also really fun to talk about and kind of break down where they start
Yeah.
to fail.
Yeah.
So, I'm actually looking forward to some of the episodes like this as they come up to break them down with you and like kind of look at them from that storytelling perspective of where it
Yeah.
kind of falls apart. And I think
Yeah.
it's also a good reminder for people who tell stories, like scenes can be a poison pill for the story you're trying to tell. If it breaks the tension, if it disrupts, if you make choices that interfere with the emotion that you're trying to create, it really does drag down the whole thing like a boat anchor. And I think the opening sequence and I think the choice of those uniforms are 2
Yeah.
choices that really, really drag this episode down.
And kill your darlings is a thing for a reason. I think that maybe there wasn't somebody on set with that script that was like, you can kill this. It adds nothing to the plot. Get rid of it.
Especially since that cold open almost feels like it's from a different episode. Like,
It's yeah, it's and I don't
yeah,
know if it was like maybe it was there to like show like the day to day of like what Cisco deals with, but because it's like such a specific thing that
yeah,
again that type of stuff did not age well, it
correct.
sticks out like a sore thumb. Oh, it's just yeah.
It really does. So, all right, why don't we talk about some honorable mentions?
Yeah, let's do it. Do you want to go first? You got anything?
I do. There's a horror author. I'm a big fan of horror novels. And I've talked a little bit before about how I think we're in a really good generation for horror writing.
We really are. We really are.
I think it's like the best since the late 70s, early 80s, where you really had authors like Barker and King and Straub really stepping to the forefront. And I think one of the biggest advantages nowadays, you have a lot more diversity out there and a lot more creative horror stories that are really kind of pushing the boundaries. One of my favorite authors is a guy named Paul Tremblay. Um,
Okay, yeah, I think you've talked about him before.
Yeah. He's written a bunch of different books. He plays a lot with ambiguity in his stories, which some people don't love. I will tell you, if you are the kind of person who really needs to have all the answers of why everything that happened by the end of the book, he's not the author for you. But he creates these very unsettling tones. So I finished one of his books called Horror Movie. If you are a film fan, this is 100% the book for you. So essentially,
Okay.
Horror Movie is a story that takes place between two different time periods. So the first is a group of college kids, basically, that are shooting an indie horror film. And it's told from the perspective of a friend of the woman who wrote and directed it, who she asked to be in part of the movie in a role they called the Thin Kid. The other part is it is now 25 years later. He is the only person from the group of people who made this movie who has survived. And you get into details as to all that later. This movie never came out, but the director, before she died, she released scenes and the full script online, and it gained kind of a cult following. And so now there are major studios that are interested in doing a remake of this story.
Okay.
And what you eventually get, and this is something Tremblay does very well, which is from about the second chapter, you understand this something went badly wrong with this movie.
Mhm.
It went horribly wrong. And it's part of the reason that it's gained this kind of cult following. But you don't get to find that out. And so what you get to do is see all of the different ways that everything kind of came together to result in this disastrous ending. The ending to this book is very controversial. I've talked to a couple of people who have read it. You're either going to love it or you're going to absolutely hate it. I loved it. I
Okay.
thought it was absolutely
Alright.
wild. But I will say, if you are a person as a film fan,
Mhm.
I'd say a third of the chapters are written as scripts. So, and it talks a lot about like what goes into getting a movie like this made, like what it is, the differences between, these kids doing this little indie film with whatever they have available and this big production. I really, really loved it. Really thought that it was one of his better ones. It's not my favorite of his. Head Full of Ghosts or Cabin at the End of the World, I think, are the best. But if you are a fan of filmmaking and horror films in particular, this is a no-brainer.
Check that out because I like film, like, I'm a big, like,
Yeah.
history
I,
film person.
I thought about you several times while I was reading this because um I I get the sense Paul Tremblay has had. I know some of his movies have been adapted, so I know he's had conversations with Hollywood producers, and you can see a lot of that bleeding in through that. So yeah,
Yeah, I might have to add that to my list. Well, Star Wars had a we had a I guess, like, for honorable mention, Star Wars had a big we had a big week last week. We
absolutely.
had a couple things happen. So the first was, Kathleen Kennedy is gonna let her contract end. Um,
So a little behind the music on this. So Kate and I hopped on a FaceTime to talk about a couple things after we recorded the last batch of 2 episodes. And during that call, Kate was like, I don't know, Kathleen Kennedy's going to resign in the next few months, I think you said.
I
And
said
then
months, yeah.
literally the next day,
I am a witch. I obviously, that's what's happening. No, like, I think it's so funny because like, I was like, "Oh, man, there's gonna be so many videos," and there were quite a few videos and, like, all the very not hot takes of, like, people, like, being mad about it, people being worried about it, et cetera, et cetera. But it wasn't, like, as, like big news because her contract was ending. So it was something that I think everyone was just kind of expecting to happen. And because Dave Filoni's been in the chief creative officer spot for a while now, again, it didn't feel that shocking that like she's just going to let her contract end naturally. It was officially announced that Dave Filoni is taking over, and Lin-Win Brendan is also going to be co-president with him. She's going to be like the producer arm. So it's going to be like James Gunn, and there's some guy that works with James Gunn, and I don't know
Can't
who.
remember.
I don't know. Do you know why we don't know who this guy is? Because James Gunn is clearly making all the decisions at DC.
Yes. And is the
And this
face of DC. Yeah.
is the face. Like, it's not Superman, guys. It's James Gunn. The problem with creatives being in charge, and this is why I think some people are worried. I've had a lot of people, a lot of friends, like in my video that I made about it, comment. They're like, they're worried about Dave Filoni being in charge. Is that when creatives are in charge, there's no one to tell them no. Like, there's no one in the room that says, "Hey, don't do this."
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that Lin-Win, that she is able to be that voice for Dave Filoni, because I like there's lots of like after somebody gets a new job, like all the rumors come spilling out. One of the rumors is that he would not have green lit Andor.
You know what? I can actually see that.
Which when I say that out loud, and like my husband and I talk about this, like that makes sense when you look at what Dave Filoni does for Star Wars. Like he is a George Lucas purist. Like he was like George Lucas took him under his wing. That was his heir apparent. That's his guy. That's who he picked. So when you look at like what George Lucas does and what Tony Gilroy did with Andor, that makes sense that he would not have looked at a project like Andor and been like, yeah, let's do that. He would not have greenlit that. So I do hope that, you know, the producer in the room, the person with their business hat on, can kind of rein in some of Dave Filoni's worst instincts. Like, still let him do what he does, but also like let other people come in and do what they do. Because that type of diverse storytelling and those big swings, that's when you get projects like Andor. Yeah, you'll also get things like The Acolyte, which didn't work out the way it should have. But if you don't take big swings, you don't get big. You don't get big and exciting things. So I'm hoping that it works out better than I think it's working out for DC. That's my hope. So, but that's not the best thing about Star Wars that dropped this week, because my honorable mention is the trailer for Maul Shadow Lord.
I watched the trailer. I will tell you.
Did you? It's like, I think it's fine. You watch the trailer. I think it's fine to watch the trailer. Like there are spoilers in the trailer. I only know there's spoilers because I know what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I picked up absolutely none of those.
I'm so excited.
I mean, the only thing I can say about it is the animation looks sick.
Oh, so good. Something about a lightsaber in animation. It just looks so good. It looks so good. My poor husband, I sent him the trailer and he's like, "Oh, that looks great." I'm like, "Wait, are you going to watch it?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "It's like, you don't know what happened to Maul after Phantom Menace." He doesn't. My husband's a very casual Star Wars fan. He watches the movies. Sometimes he watched Mando with me. He watched Ahsoka season 1. He was there for the vibes. He had no idea what was going on in Ahsoka season 1. He was so confused. And I was like, "You're not going to know what's going on." He's like, "Well, you can fill me in." And I was like, "Oh, I can. I can fill him in." I'm so excited. I was just given a gift.
Can we say, once that series is out, can we release the PowerPoint you made for your husband?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Or maybe like, right before it comes out.
I have a feeling we're gonna I told him, I was like, I'm gonna wait till April. The series drops April 19th. I was like, I'm gonna wait. We're working on it. I'm gonna work on it slowly. But I told him closer to April, I'm gonna do a presentation for him to tell him what happened to Darth Maul after Obi-Wan cut off his legs. So, and I was, and there's a good chance that he's gonna film it. So
excellent, outstanding.
That there's visual aids. I'm so excited.
It's gonna be great.
Gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch the show simply because you have told me like it's too many spoilers for what I'm doing with the Clone Wars.
It is. It's too many spoilers. Darth Maul's his journey is, especially later on, is very intertwined in everything that happens in the Clone Wars. There was allusions to it on Mando season 3 where they talk about like the Siege of Mandalore, the Death Watch. It's all very interconnected. That's why we call it the Filoniverse. So it would honestly, like, it would ruin some aspects of things that are to come in later seasons, and I don't want that to happen for you, because what happens with Maul in the Clone Wars is so brilliant, and so it's such a great journey for so many characters that we can't have it ruined. So you're just gonna have to hold off on Darth Maul, the Maul show, but you'll get to watch it later.
We've got plenty to watch. It's going to be great. All right. Well, with that, we will go ahead and bring this week to a close. If you want to contact us, you can do so at maytheforcelivelongandpodcast@gmail.com. You can send us questions, comments, whatever the case may be. You can also follow us on our socials, which are both TikTok and Instagram at May the Force Live Long and Prosper
Yep.
in both those cases.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, please like, subscribe, rate,
yes,
review. Helps get us out there.
it does. It does. And I want to say we had a little bit of boost after last week in listeners. So I want to thank those who are starting to jump in and listen to what we're
Yeah,
doing. It's
welcome.
very, very weird. But yeah, we love that there are some people out there for some reason enjoy us rambling about these shows. But with that, we'll go ahead and wrap this week up. So I'm Dietrich Sagner.
Kate Page.
And we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.